Hi and welcome. Good morning, good evening, and good night. No matter where you are, I do hope that you're having a fabulous day. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for stopping by. My name is Charlotte. Um, I just wanted to share something with you guys this evening. Um, if you have not subscribed to my channel because I am new, please like and subscribe this video. And I am going to dive on into what I want to share. So I am in Georgia, first of all, and needless to say, there has been a couple more females that have been formally charged um, with some crimes, and it is pertaining to miscarriages. So for many of you that know, the whole ordeal that has been going on, overturning Roe v. Wade and everything, and the fact that you don't have adequate health service as you should. When we did have Roe v. Wade, now everything has been held up under a microscope, and everything is being scrutinized when it comes down to women being pregnant. So I do know that one of the females, they did give her help. So she was found and she was unconscious, and she did discard the fetus, and they charged her with, I believe, unaliving the fetus, as well as child endangerment and something else. But I was trying to pull it back up to see exactly the other charges, which are really just unbelievable, because I've never in my entire life, this is like the very first that I've ever heard of such a thing. But it is becoming really serious. And the other female, of course, she was also charged as well, but I don't believe the other female was here in Georgia. I know one is here in Georgia, and as soon as if I can pull up the article, I will, and I'll post it on there. But I mean, it is just unbelievable to find out at this day and age that you are being charged with such a crime, especially when you have no control over your body. And the article goes long, for those that know about it, but it goes along to say that the doctors did confirm that they did have a natural miscarriage. One thing about being pregnant, for those that have been pregnant, or if you know somebody has been pregnant, everybody's body is totally different. You don't even know if your body will accept or reject a pregnancy. And I can attest that myself. And I'm gonna share my story with you in just a minute. But it is just really sad, and it's heartbreaking that our country has come to this, and especially when it comes down to we still support pro-choice as well as pro-life. Now, mind you, I've as long as I can remember, I've always been one to be an advocate for pro-life, but I sort of shifted. Because let me tell you, when you know better, you do better. And I say this in all honesty, and I say this with a clear heart as well as a clear conscience. In as much as God gives us the choice to make a conscious decision, even when it comes down to accepting and loving Him, man should do the same thing. So every person, every woman, every person should have a choice in the decisions that they make, especially in life. So, we can't have picks and chooses about what we want to give people the choice to make. So it is it's a conscious decision that we have to live with. And at the end of the day, we have to stand before God for our own soul salvation. Because let me tell you, if the tables were turned and the government was forcing them to have an abortion or whatever the case may be, then yes, the blood would be on their hands. But at the end of the day, the blood is on the woman's hands. So yes, you have a right to your own body. So at the same time, once again, God gives you that choice. So it is up to you as an individual to make the right choice, to make that conscious decision. So making that choice, right or wrong. The choice is yours. At the end of the day, you have to stand before God. And, if it's a wrong decision that you make in life, and whether it's, from doing that as well, or whatever decision it may, whatever decision it is that you make in life, you have to you got to give an account for it. So if it's a wrong decision that you make, then you have to atone for those sins that you have made. So once again, at the end of the day, the individual have that choice, and I don't want to be the one to take that choice away from anybody, because I am not God. I don't have a heaven or hell to put you in, and and neither should our government. Because when you make that decision, that's between you and God, not between you, God, and your doctor. Because your doctor can only tell you, can only advise you, but at the end of the day, it's still between you and God. And I just, I just say that, but it's just really heartbreaking. So I know exactly what they have been going through. Even the young female here, Amber. So, I think it was back in August, I believe, of last year. And it is just amazing that, she had to go through what she went through. And she suffered because of inadequate medical. So, she was going through, and she had a miscarriage, and they would not give her a DNC. So, you left, and you're left, and you got the fetus on the inside of you that is no longer alive. So it's just really sad. I mean, it's heartbreaking in the process, but it's we have got to do better as a country, as a nation. And I know with everything that is going on, I know a lot of people don't care. I know our government don't care. They can care less, because they put us in this position. They put women in this position. And I can recall, like I said, as far as my story, but mine, this was years ago, and it was back in 1994, when I found out that I was pregnant and did not know I was pregnant. And I actually suffered a miscarriage. And the fact that, I was really active, and I was on the go all the time, and did not realize that I was, until one day I went out with my mother, and we were out, running errands and, doing girly stuff. And I just did not feel good. I did not feel 100%. I feel way less than normal. And I told her, I said, something is really wrong. I said, I think I need to go to the hospital. And, I started having light fainting spells, and I was sweating profusely. I mean, I was like, oh my God. And I thought I was coming down with the flu. And then, I went from cold to hot. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm coming down with the flu. And when I get to the hospital, and the doctor told me, they ran, a series of tests, went through triage, and, blood tests, urine tests, and everything. And she come back and tell me I was pregnant. And mind you, I was in complete shock. So I'm looking at my mother. My mother's looking at me, because, I used to tell my mother everything. She's like, you didn't tell me you was pregnant? I'm like, I didn't know. And, I mean, here I am literally just, I'm in shock, and the fact that my body's going through this, and I'm like, okay. So I was like, okay, well, let me call my husband. I said, I said, Mom, let me call Robert. And let me tell you, by then, I'm going through and trying to reach him, and I was unable to reach him. And I'm sitting there talking to my mom, and, I called one of my best friends, and, talked to one of my other siblings, and sharing all that information. Needless to say, so doctor came back and told me, she said, well, there's nothing we can do right now. She said, because you are suffering a miscarriage. She said, we're going to have to discharge you, and you're going to have to go home and let nature run its course. Now, mind you, I'm looking like, okay, you're going to send me out of here. And, I'm already devastated. And then the fact that I have this fetus on the inside of me that is no longer here. and to go home and to have to suffer through that. And by that time, my husband made his way there to the hospital. So, we go back home. My mother goes home, and, my husband and I, we go back home. And my husband is there, he's taking care of me the entire time. And, throughout the course of the ordeal, he was like, I was just like in a comatose state. I just completely just zoned out because, I'm in the back of my mind, I'm like, I just cannot believe this. I'm still literally in shock. And here I am. I'm just, just bleeding everywhere and just uncontrollably. I mean, you stand up or you lay down, you sit down. It is just unbelievable. I had no strength whatsoever. I was just completely dehydrated. And at the same time, I was nauseous too. So no matter what I drank, I mean, I was still going through as if I had the symptoms, believe it or not. And I mean, when I share the story with people, some people can relate because they went through it. And those that don't, it's just unbelievable that the fact that, even back then, so, you had to do that. So I had to go through that for 4 days. On the fourth day, I end up going back to I got referred out to a doctor that actually specializes in that. And then they had to perform a DNC. But like I said, when I think about what I went through then, and I think about what women are going through now, to where it's like with Amber, she didn't get the medical attention that she needed, and she passed. And I think that is so, it is a cruel thing to do. I don't care what law it is, because even with the laws in place, it tells me that man has no sympathy, no compassion, and no disregard for life. And it is just unbelievable. I mean, it's just, when I think about all of this stuff, and I think about the course of my life and the things that I went through when I was pregnant, and I have 4 children now. And I have been pregnant, oh my God, 7 times. And I remember when I had my last child, and I mean, like I say, every pregnancy I had has been completely difficult. When I mean completely difficult. Some of the things are just horrific. And I remember when I had my last son, and he was about 3 weeks late. This was before, they started, really inducing labor. And I remember the doctor came in, and because I had so many difficulties, the doctor, instead of asking me, he asked my husband. Now remember, let me remind you again. He asked my husband. He did not ask me. I am the one that is carrying the child. And he asked my husband, if anything was to happen, who should we save? Who do you want to be the survivor? And I'm literally just looking at him and looking at my husband, and I'm like, and mind you, now I'm not, I don't use profanity, and 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 I am a Christian. I don't use profanity, but I looked at my doctor, and I'm like, how dare you? I said, who in the blank do you think you are? I said, how dare you even pose that question to my husband when I'm sitting right here? I'm not, this is not third person. You're not going to talk to me as if, we're playing third person. So, I mean, I got completely just utterly infuriated with my doctor. The only thing you can do is just deliver this child. And yes, if anything happened, God forbid, I do want to live. Because you're not going to pose that question, and nobody's going to pick, and we're not going to play God, and we're not going to do any of this stuff. So, I mean, it is just, I mean, the more and more I think about it, because I'm telling you, I had to literally, I mean, it required me seeking help, because I was so devastated. I was so angry at my doctor. And I mean, if we had technology about 26 years ago like we have it now, I'm telling you, I would have literally just, ruined the doctor's life, because how dare you, pose that question if it came down to your own household. If it came down to your wife or your own child, do you pose that same question? So, we have to be careful of some of the things that we say. Even doctors, there's no book that you could even that you can even read that will help you get that compassion that you need for your patients. I mean, because if you don't have the heart of God, then I'm sorry, you're not able to work in the industry like that, because you have to have compassion, you have to have sympathy, you have to have empathy when it comes down to God's people. Because everybody, just because you're in a position doesn't mean that you are fit to do the job. But mind you, I'm sorry. It's just like the floodgates were just completely open the more and more I think about it. And and back to the doctor. But my husband was sitting there, and now my husband, he's this big tall black guy, and I mean, he's like, how dare you? And when my husband stands up, I'm telling you, I have to stand up too and sort of hold his hand, because I'm like, God forbid, please, baby, just don't do that. But that's the type of, my husband's very defensive when it comes down to me, as well as his family. He's very defensive. So mind you, suffering through all of that, and then God saw fit that I had a smooth delivery, although, I did have some hiccups where my son was caught in my rib, and, heart rate dropped and stuff. But, all is well, all was well then. And, I just thank God that I came out unscathed. But it is still, what people don't realize is the fact that the process of having a child, women go through life and death when you're having a child, and people don't take that in consideration. And it is more than a notion to have to deal with that. When you find out that you're pregnant and trying to get past that first trimester, and trying to ride it all the way through, it is really hard, especially if you have difficulties. So, it changes your entire chemistry. And people don't realize that the things that women go through, all women don't go through the same thing. Some women don't experience anything. But, for those that do, it is really difficult. And then you have to bear that burden, when things happen outside of what you anticipate or what you expect. But to all of the Ambers, my heart goes out to their families. My heart goes out to them as individuals. But, as a country, I know that we're not getting any better, because we see it every day. We're not. And once again, our government can care less about my life or anybody else's life, because they don't value that. They don't value that. And you cannot put a dollar sign on someone's life or human life, period. You cannot put a dollar sign on that. But for the fact that you have a living, breathing vessel that is before you, how dare you not want to stake a claim in that? But I just wanted to share that, because it is a whole lot of things that's going on once again. And it has come to the point where women don't want to expose that they are pregnant. And mind you, and I left this out with one of the other women. Someone did expose her. Someone went to the authorities and said that, yes, she was in fact pregnant. And, and I feel some kind of way about that. The fact that, here you are, you're dipping over into someone else's household. Now, mind you, at the end of the day, I'm not concerned on whether or not my neighbor is pregnant. That is between her family, and God. Once again, that, nobody could, I'm not trying to play judge, jury, and executioner. I'm not trying to play RoboCop. I'm not trying to do any of that stuff. And we should feel the same way too. Nonetheless, our fellow man has a genuine need. we are here to be a blessing to one another. We're not trying to uphold anybody when they're wrong, especially when it comes down to that right there, because we don't know, when we don't have all of the facts, it brings about a whole different conversation. It brings about a whole different meaning to the whole incident. And the fact that, you want to inject yourself in this situation because for whatever reason, and only her and God knows the reason why she did what she did, but turned her in and said that yes, in fact, yes, she was pregnant, and yes, I did see her dispose of the presumptuous fetus. But that is just too much. That is, what I mean is too much. That is just literally too much. So we can't continue to inject ourselves in situations where it's none of our business. And once again, and I say that in all sincerity, and I say that with a clear heart and clear mind, is the fact that if it happened to me, I wouldn't want nobody to do that to me either, because that is my business. That is my personal business, because you don't know the whole situation. You don't know the facts. And we should not want to play judge, jury, and executioner for whatever reason, for whatever motive that we had for someone else. But she interjected herself into the situation, and once again, divulged information stating thus. And I'm not sure of the outcome, but I do know that that both of the women are being formally charged, and it is unbelievable. It's literally just unbelievable. And I'm gonna say this, because I did not vote for the person that is in office. And as much as our president can have a stacked up some mound of charges, just a huge, this many charges, and nothing can be done. So it's just unbelievable. So it's the fact that, it depends on who you are. Depends on who you are. Some people just say, okay, 30 some odd charges. Okay, what the heck? And, it's nothing. But then here you are, when your body rejects the fetus and you have no control over that, you still get charged. So just mind you that I do know that I've heard quite a few people say that, I know people that are pregnant, that is their business. I'm not stepping in their household because I can't do anything with their household. I can't run their household and run my household. And that's literally what people are saying, and the fact that you have some women that don't even want to share the fact that they are pregnant. So, people are pretty much hiding in secrecy because of that. And it should not be. It really should not be. But this is what it's really boiling down to. So just be mindful and just be in prayer for women that are pregnant. If you're pregnant, or somebody that's pregnant, if you're a woman, just be mindful and have compassion for people. But like I said earlier, we're blessed to be a blessing. So we are here not for our own benefit, but for our fellow man. At the end of the day, it's not about us. It is about our fellow man. And, ultimately we have that choice to whether or not we want to be a blessing to somebody. So continue to, once again, pray for our nation, because we're going to need it more now than ever before, because things are not going to get better. But it will get better as long as you trust and believe that God is still on the throne. So until next time, let me tell you, please like and subscribe, and even share if you want to let people know that, look, if you know anybody that's pregnant, just make sure that they are they're doing what they need to do. And I'm like this, the less people in your business, the better off you are. So once again, have a great day. And until next time, God bless you. And I love you. And hey, family, Um, don't forget, like and subscribe, family. You know who I'm talking to. You guys be encouraged. And till next time, I'm out. Peace.